Hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing great and staying safe. This is the first video of Debugging PySpark video series, and in this series I am planning to cover various aspects of debugging in PySpark. We will start with a brief introduction of Spark architecture, then we will discuss about different ways of debugging the PySpark application. And I'm also planning to make few videos on common exceptions and errors that we generally encounter while coding in PySpark. And I'll also share the probable solutions and recommendations for solving these errors. And I'm planning to divide these concepts in multiple videos for your better understanding. Just one call out before we move ahead. For following this series, you should have basic knowledge of Spark. As this playlist is mainly focused on debugging, so I'm assuming that you have at least basic knowledge and working experience in PySpark. If you are completely new to Spark, then also no problem. Watch the videos and let me know down there in comment section if you want videos on any specific topic. I will try to publish the videos as soon as possible. So without any further delay, let's start the series. And if you are equally excited as I am about discussing these topics, don't forget to like, share and subscribe our channel Zen of Coding. Okay, so in this video we will discuss about Spark and its extraordinary features, and then we will understand the Spark underlying architecture in the most simplified way, and we will see how Spark works and processes huge amount of data in lightning fast speed. So basically, Apache Spark is an open source cluster computing framework for data processing, which is setting the world of big data on fire. As per the benchmarking results, Spark performance is up to 100 times faster in memory and 10 times faster on disk when compared to Hadoop. The coolest feature of Apache Spark is its in-memory cluster computing that increases the processing speed of an application by many folds. And also it is designed to cover a wide range of workloads such as batch applications, interactive algorithms, interactive queries and streaming. Now let's talk about some extraordinary features of Spark. First and foremost is its speed. Spark runs up to 100 times faster than Hadoop MapReduce for large scale data processing. Second is that Spark has powerful caching, which is for reusing some computations by keeping data in memory or disk, which provides significant performance improvement while running multiple queries on the same data. So its simple programming layer provides powerful caching and data persistence capabilities. Then third, we also have multiple deploy modes in Spark. It can be deployed through Mesos, Hadoop via Yarn or Spark's own cluster manager. Then Spark provides real-time computation and low latency because of its in-memory computation. And also it is polyglot in nature, as Spark provides high-level APIs in various programming languages like Java, Scala, Python and R. Spark can be written in any of these four languages, and it also provides shell in Scala and Python. Last but not the least is its scalable nature. We can configure the Spark cluster as per our use case requirement. And because of these features, Apache Spark has become mainstream and most in-demand big data framework across all major industries. Now let's talk about Spark architecture. Apache Spark has a well-defined layered architecture where all the Spark components and layers are loosely coupled. This architecture is further integrated with various extensions and libraries. So Apache Spark architecture is based on two main abstractions, RDD and DAG. RDD is resilient distributed datasets and DAG is directed acyclic graph. Let's see them in detail. RDD is a collection of data items that are split into partitions and can be stored in memory on worker nodes of the Spark cluster. We will talk more about worker nodes in just few seconds. And then DAG is a sequence of computations performed on data where each node, as shown in blue boxes, is an RDD partition An edge is a transformation on top of the data. This is how we understand DAG, right? So Apache Spark follows a master-slave architecture with two main daemons and a cluster manager. Master daemon, that is master or driver process, or the worker daemon, that is slave process. In master daemon, we have the driver program which drives our application. It is the central point or the entry point of the Spark shell, be it Scala, Python or R. Now, if you see in the left side of this diagram, the code we write behaves as a driver program. Or if we are using the interactive shell, the shell acts as the driver program. Inside the driver program, the first thing we do is to create a Spark context. And basically, Spark context is like a gateway to all the Spark functionalities. It is similar to the database connection. Any command we execute in our database goes through the database connection, right? Likewise, anything we do in Spark goes through the Spark context. Now this Spark context work with the cluster manager to manage various jobs. The driver program and Spark context takes care of the job execution within the cluster. A job is split into multiple tasks which are distributed over the worker node. So let's understand this with an illustration how things must be happening inside the Spark cluster. When client or the user submits the Spark user application code, driver comes into the picture. Driver is the process where the main method runs. The driver implicitly converts user code that contains transformations and actions into a logical directed acyclic graph called DAG. At this stage, it also performs optimizations such as pipelining transformations. After that, it converts the DAG into physical execution plan and splits the DAG into multiple stages. Then it creates physical execution unit called tasks under each stage, which means each stage is further subdivided into multiple tasks. Then these tasks are bundled and ready to be sent to the cluster. Now the driver calls the cluster manager and negotiates the resources. Cluster manager launches executors in the worker nodes on behalf of the driver. And the executor is a JVM process which is in charge of running individual tasks for the given Spark job. Now the driver will send the task to the executors based on the data placement. When executors start, they register themselves with the driver so that driver has holistic view of all the executors and their health. So the driver will have complete view of executors that are executing the task. When executors have run the task, they send the results to the driver. After all the data processing is done and when driver program's main method exists or when it calls the stop method of the Spark context, it will terminate all the executors and release the resources from the cluster manager. This is how Spark components like driver, executors, and cluster manager works internally with each other to process the data efficiently and quickly. So this was the introduction of Spark. I'm highlighting again. This playlist is mainly focused on debugging PySpark. So that is the reason I have not gone deep into every component or the functionality. If in case you want to have more in-depth video on PySpark or how to use it, do let me know down there in the comment section. In our next video, we will see how to read and understand the stack trace, which eventually help you to understand the PySpark error or exception logs in a better way. Please do let me know in the comments what are your views, if you want any more explanation or if you have understood what we discussed in this video, because it is very important that I get your valuable feedback. And if you liked this video, please give this video a thumbs up and also do watch the next video in this debugging PySpark series. I'll be posting it soon. Okay, then we'll meet you in the next video. Till then, keep learning and take care. Thank you.